Welcome back, everybody. I'll give a second for everybody to show up, get some people in here. Looks like we got a nice comment here. Thank you very much. I'll just go ahead and put this out here. Your wedding video was fire. Thanks for sharing. Absolutely. Oh. Absolutely. Not sure what's happening. Give me 1 second. All right, there we go. I was listening to myself. That was weird. All right, so we put out a little short video of a synopsis of our wedding. We'll probably put out a couple of more things. There's a lot of different perspectives we want to show, and it was a lot of fun. So we figured why not? And we enjoy making the little shorts and creating. I'm just all off today. Creating all of these little things as far as our wedding goes, and just showing you little parts of our life. It's a lot of fun for us. And like I said, I've always said, the whole point of this channel is really so that my future kids can, see the type of stuff that we were doing from investing and from a perspective of our life, and what were we doing at this point in our life and all that kind of stuff. So just it's fun. So I'm glad you guys enjoyed that. All right, so let me go ahead and get rid of this. Looks like people are trickling in. Hey, how's it going, Chadwick? Hope you're having a good day. Hopefully most of you had a good day, especially with Tesla essentially outperforming everyone. Hey, here we go. Long-time fan, long-time subscriber. I always see you on Yashi's live stream, so appreciate the shout out. Oh, here we go. We got Megan Howe here. Made it on time. Yay. Yeah. So sometimes I don't forecast these, or I don't advertise these live streams. I kind of just get a feeling like, all right, let's just jump on. And then sometimes people miss out on it. So Megan, sorry about that. Tell Tucker I said hi. They're good friends of ours. All right. Well, let's, it seems like we got a good amount of people in here right now. So let's go ahead and start this discussion. So what was the title of the video? The title of the video was Tesla is the market. All right, let's just level set here. When it comes to Tesla, the company, the stock, it doesn't really matter at this point from my perspective. What we have seen in this past earnings is that the only company that seems to be beating on expectations and actually showing true growth and showing true profitability is Tesla. And yes, I am throwing in companies like Apple, because Apple kind of, let's just say they cook the books a little bit, in my opinion. I mean, they don't cook the books, but what they do is they tend to buy back a lot of shares. So whenever you buy back a lot of shares, you're essentially changing the way your EPS looks, right? So there's a lot of stuff going on there. But regardless, I mean, Apple's a solid company. They're printing money, right? So they can afford to do all these buybacks. But my point is the growth isn't there. And so to look at Apple as a growth company is a mistake. All these other companies that you see, it doesn't matter if it's a Netflix type company, if it's a Meta type company, none of them are growing as fast as Tesla, and none of them are doing it as efficiently as Tesla. Even the auto market, whether you look at Ford, who technically has had nothing but losses this year, right? Ford hasn't made any money. Now, look, I don't believe in saying that and not contextualizing it, because Ford has these one-offs, and I think it's important to be transparent about that. Right, first, Ford took a hit with Rivian, so that's a one-time thing, and then now recently they scrapped their entire investment to the autonomous technology company of Argo, and Argo is essentially going away. Right, they're not bankrupting it, but they're essentially just getting rid of it. So they're, between them and Volkswagen, they're going to share the talent, and then Argo is going to no longer exist. And so Ford takes a big hit for that. So, although it is one-time items, they still have a loss. We still have to, count that as far as this year, right? They have made no money this year in 2022. Volkswagen, Toyota, I mean, Tesla's just killing them. And Tesla has a fraction of the amount of vehicles they sell. So again, this is Tesla's market. There's no other investment that's growing as aggressively. There's no other investment that has this kind of profitability. And there's definitely no other company in the top 10, 20 of the largest companies in the world that are doing what Tesla is doing. Tesla's extremely undervalued. It is Tesla's market, bar none, no questions asked, in my opinion. And I think you're starting to see that, and why Tesla's holding up pretty well right now. I mean, I know you guys are probably like, okay, well, I thought it was going to soar by now. We'll get into that in a second. But the point is, if you look at the NASDAQ, when Tesla trades at a beta of 2, in other words, whatever move the NASDAQ does, right? Say the NASDAQ goes down 1%, normally you would see Tesla go down 2%. Tesla's been bucking the trend. Tesla has been staying above the NASDAQ. Tesla's holding pretty strong here. And I think tomorrow is going to be a big day. All right, but before we get into that, let's talk about this Lex Fridman interview with Andrej Karpathy. For those of you who don't know, he used to be the AI director at Tesla. He is widely regarded as one of the foremost experts, if not the foremost expert in the world when it comes to artificial intelligence, neural nets. He's created curriculums, and he's essentially the one who is responsible for Tesla's full self-driving autonomous software. All right, now he left the company about maybe 6 months ago now. He took a sabbatical for 6 months, and then he left the company. And at that point, we saw all kinds of speculation. Oh, no, Elon Musk must have said something to drive him off, and they must have got in an argument, all this stuff, whatever, some other company, Volkswagen, Ford is going to pick up on Andrej and all this stuff, and just all this FUD that was going out. Well, Lex Fridman, if you don't know who Lex Fridman is, you got to check him out. He's an amazing podcaster, great questions, and he's a very, very intelligent person. He's MIT University's graduate. He's worked with Boston Dynamics. I mean, he's just a brilliant person. But his questions are what really set him apart from a lot of other people. Anyways, he had Andrej on there, and Andrej essentially explained to us that what they had done with FSD beta, with FSD, the software, where it's at, it's essentially gone into autopilot, pun intended, right? It's essentially an autopilot. The way he described it is it's like a staircase, right? So essentially they get data in, they train the data, they spit the data back out into a new version of FSD beta. Everybody tests it. They, get more information about where it's working, where it's not, where people are disengaging. That data gets sent back. They train again. They come out with a new version. They push that out, right? And it's essentially like a spiral staircase slowly making its way up. And what Karpathy was saying, Andrej Karpathy, Karpathy is his last name, so you're probably going to hear me say that moving forward. What Karpathy was saying is that essentially it's an autopilot. Like there are no more things that really question them on whether or not they can get to full self-driving, to autonomous vehicles, robo-taxis. There's no more questions about that. And the things that are left to solve, they are now at a point where they are not questioning their approach. They are confident in their approach. So fascinating interview, but he goes on to say that the reason he left was because he became more of a manager at this point, because everything was on autopilot with the progress, and it's just a matter of iterating until we get to the solved solution. And he wanted to be more technical. He wanted to get back in and get into more technical aspects. And if you've ever been in any type of STEM role, whether you're an engineer, whether you're a doctor, whether you're a nurse, it doesn't matter. Anything that's science-based, engineering-based, where there's a lot of research coming out, what you know is that unless you stay on top of what's currently happening, you fall behind. And that's what he started to realize, was that he wanted to get back into education, wanted to go back into tinkering and learning, because especially in the field of AI, I mean, there are breakthroughs happening every single day. And if he's sitting there, essentially working at Tesla doing these managerial type tasks, well, then he's losing all that knowledge and he's getting behind. So he wanted to go back and focus on that. What makes it even more interesting is that he went ahead and told us that's why he left. He loves Elon. He loves Tesla. And he was talking about now with Optimus, the humanoid robot, he might come back for a, part 2 act at Tesla, that you could tell it, you could feel it in his answers, his expressions. He missed being at Tesla. So it'd be very interesting to see if he comes back. And of course, right after that interview dropped, we got a tweet from Elon Musk saying Andrej Karpathy will always be welcome to Tesla. So, to all those naysayers out there, all the fudsters out there who are sitting there saying, oh, Tesla's screwing up, Elon's doing stuff, and this is why he left. It's all BS. Once again, how many times have we seen this story where people say certain things, turns out it's all BS, and they're, essentially lying about Tesla, right? I mean, it's no different than when CNBC ran with these two people outside of Twitter who claimed to be software developers or data analysts, whatever they were claiming to be. They said that they got let go from Twitter, and of course, their names were, well, you guys probably know about this already. If you don't, check it out. It's kind of funny. But anyway, so when you listen to the interview too with Andrej Karpathy and Lex Fridman, Karpathy talks a lot about entropy. Okay, so if you don't know what entropy is, so entropy can actually be expressed in many different ways. But just so that if you listen to it and if you're a little confused, what he's saying with entropy is essentially think of it as like wasted resources, wasted heat or bloat, like excess fat, right? So it's essentially wasted energy that's not being efficient in the system. And he talks about that over and over, about it just creates entropy into the system, right? You hear Elon talk a lot about, extra sensors on the vehicle for full self-driving. He talks about like all these extra sensors create noise, and then it becomes, okay, if the cameras are saying that this is what's happening, but this sensor that is arguably not as good as the cameras says this is happening, well, what do you listen to, right? That right there, that's entropy. That's noise. That's jitter. That's not good. And so what Karpathy was saying, and he actually said it very emphatically, that all these companies that are pursuing autonomous vehicles will give up LiDAR eventually. That he made a profound statement. And all of these extra sensors, he's saying they're just entropy, right? At the end of the day, we drive with two eyes on a gimbal being our head, right? We move back and forth, and our eyes are cameras. And then we have a neural net, which is our brain. You guys have all heard this. I'm not saying anything new. But what he's saying, and it's refreshing to hear it from him rather than just Elon, especially knowing, how we regard him, how he's one of the foremost experts in this field. It validates, right? It just gives another person saying this. Not that we don't trust Elon, but Elon tends to have a lot of people doubt him, even though he's Elon, he's done everything he's done. But hearing Karpathy say this just, it validates everything that they're doing. And it's amazing what they're able to do. They've essentially gotten rid of every sensor, and they're doing everything just with cameras at this point. Excellent interview. You got to check it out. It's absolutely fascinating. All right. So what else do I have written down here? Actually, before I do that, let me just go in the comments real quick. Let's see. Ooh, absolutely amazing. Hi from the Faroe Islands. How's it going? That's awesome. Love to see that. There we go. Ligma Johnson. That's the reference to the whole Twitter employees quitting, the name they gave. So if you guys don't know about it, you know now. Here we go, another one. I predict Karpathy will be back before December 15th. Ooh, that's a hot take. All right, that'd be cool to see. All right, let's look at one more here. On third view of the Lex Friedman, Andre vid, patiently waiting to hear what James Dalma has to say about it. Yeah, it's a great point. I'm surprised Dave Lee hasn't had James on yet. Actually, just having done a couple of videos with James Dalma and Dave Lee, I promise you they're scheduling it. They're doing something, right? You could. I remember like the few times I went on Dave's stream. As I get on, we're waiting to go live or we're waiting to record. You just hear James and Dave just talking about their schedules and how they can fit things in. So I'd be surprised if we don't see something sooner than later. All right, let's get back to my list here. Okay, so we all saw these recent rumors about Shanghai sending over 200 employees over to Fremont, supposedly to help Fremont ramp up. So I take all of this with a grain of salt. It's also kind of bullish, but what I think, assuming this is true, I think two things might be happening. One, I think a lot of these employees will be coming over to train on how to build a Model S and Model X, right? That seems pretty logical. You get to a certain point where it makes no sense to be shipping S and X only out of Fremont, especially if that's the highest margin vehicles that Tesla has. Why wouldn't you do it in China to increase those margins? And on top of that, Shanghai is the export hub for Tesla. So it makes sense to make them there as well. So I think that's a big part, assuming this is true, of why they would be doing this. And the other one, who knows? Maybe there's some cross-pollination going to happen, some training across teams, and you get a whole second set of eyes on how things are going. And maybe people rub off on each other, right? Like the work ethic, ideas, personalities, just meeting other people, like all that kind of becomes infectious, and it's cool to meet people from different parts of the world. So I think, I don't think there's anything negative here. I think it's all positive, but media will spin it how media spins it. Let me see. Let's talk about, I have a couple things written here, so I just want to choose the order. All right, well, let's talk about tomorrow. Why not? Let's just get into that. Tomorrow, the Fed has their meeting. All right. If you're not aware, the Fed is going to be announcing interest rate hikes tomorrow. I think the odds are like 80, 90% now. That's going to be a 75 basis point or a 0.75%. And so that should get us right at that 4% Fed's fund number. So that's pretty much baked in, I think. Now, if you've noticed, the market's been a little more positive lately. Hopefully you've noticed that. Tesla's holding up pretty well. I mean, considering we were at 198, we weren't there. Like we touched 198 and we came off of that. But to be sitting here at 227, 228, whatever we closed at, it's pretty good compared to 198 in what, matter of a week and a half. So I'll take that every day, any day. But tomorrow we have the Fed meeting. And the reason we've seen the markets kind of rally a little bit is because there's all this noise, all these rumors going around about the Fed going to signal, a pivot. And I don't know how much I believe that they're going to signal a pivot in a traditional sense, but I do think that they might signal a pivot. So here's what I predict. And this is assuming that, they aren't spooked by a potential reaction in the stock market, right? They don't want the stock market to just go and flip out and go crazy, right? They need to have people out there with less money so that they can't spend more money so then they can fight inflation. I mean, God forbid that they work on the supply chain side to fight inflation. No. Let's just, make everybody poor and lose jobs. That's the way to go. Anyways, so tomorrow, what I predict that happen, if they go ahead and, give us any kind of dovish or signal that times are changing, would be that they say, okay, we did a 75 basis point hike. We still have our goal to hit 4.5% by the end of the year. If they say that, one, that indicates that in December it'll be a 50 basis point rate hike, which, yes, it means they'll still be hiking, but it'll come down from 75 basis points. The market will see this as very bullish if that happens. Now, what I anticipate is Jerome Powell's going to try to balance his messaging. He'll probably say something along the lines of, we are committed to fighting inflation. We will be data dependent moving forward, and we'll flex depending on where the data says and how sticky inflation is. At the moment, we are anticipating a 50 basis point rate hike in December, and then we might do more in 2023, depending on how we see inflation coming down and what the job market looks like. So I think that's where he'll try to balance it, and he'll say, like, we're committed to fighting it, but the job's not done. We still have a lot of work to do, but we're going to come down to 50, right? I think that's going to be kind of the balance that he's going to try to come to this meeting with. Now, if he does that, stock market should like it. And the stock market may not do anything. Everyone's expecting it to like soar up or tank down. Expectations seem to always be wrong no matter what. So we'll see what happens tomorrow. Either way, I just want to get past tomorrow because, again, I want to get past, honestly, all of this, all these Fed meetings, all these rate hikes. Like, the Fed should not be what's dictating what the market's doing, right? Right now, we're not trading based off of companies. We're trading based off of the macros. We're trading based off what the Fed's going to do. The Fed controls the market right now. It's not companies. A company can be doing absolutely excellent and they'll get trashed or they'll just be okay. We're not trading based on fundamentals. Right now, fundamentals mean nothing in a company. The only time they mean something is if you miss. And if you miss, you get hammered, right? You sell off like crazy. So hopefully we can get past all of this. We can get to a point where the Fed's slowing down and we can just focus more on fundamentals of a company. Is it a good company? Is it not? Do they have earnings? Do they have growth? Because that's what matters at the end of the day. Anyways, we're long-term investors, so we don't really care in the big scheme of things of all this. But, all this noise, it'd be nice to get past it. All right, let's see. What else do we have here? Oh, here's something else too. Keep in mind, next week we have the midterm elections. This will be very bullish, I think, for the stock market if Republicans take over. It seems like they will take over the House, but if they also take over the Senate. Essentially, what's bullish isn't that Republicans are taking over. What's bullish is that you have Republicans in Congress, you have a Democratic White House, and what that does is that creates gridlock. And gridlock is actually great for the stock market because that means we can at least rule out government doing something stupid. Just like we wish the Fed would stop doing what they're doing, right? The more predictability we have in the macro, the better. And if we could get government to be in gridlock and essentially just, silence themselves and be something that we don't have to worry about anymore, that would be great. So I think having this call it balance of powers within the parties. I think that will be very bullish for the stock market. And it seems like that's the way things are going to go. And that also might be part of why the markets are starting to rally a little bit, is anticipation of that. Again, the market doesn't like uncertainty. And the market knows there's uncertainty whenever a given party owns the White House and Congress, because then they can do whatever they want. And that could be a good thing or bad thing. They might make a mistake. They may not make a mistake. But when you have gridlock, well, you're not going to make a mistake because you have gridlock. You're not doing anything. And so, that's seen as very bullish and many from many points of view, especially hedge funds and fund managers. All right, so that's the election. Nothing really to talk about there. And before I get all kinds of crazy comments, I'm not left, I'm not right. I'm Nick, and I have my own nuanced opinions about every topic. And I think if you solely identify by a given party, then you're really missing out on nuanced conversations and thinking for yourself. So not calling anybody out. I'm just saying, take topic by topic and come up with your own opinions about them. Don't just identify, based on a color of a party, or where you grew up or what your parents were, right? You should evolve and come up with your own thoughts, your own opinions. And, odds are if you identify just completely with one party, odds are you're not thinking for yourself. So just calling that to attention, because I think we need more people to think for themselves. All right, what else do I have here? Okay, let's talk about Tesla deliveries. All right, this is something I'm starting to get kind of bullish about. So if you guys have been following Troy Tesla, who is regarded as like the guy whenever it comes to hitting Tesla numbers, he's been pretty spot on recently. He's got a pretty good track record. And what we know is that his prediction for Q4 was that they would deliver 400,000 vehicles. I'll tell you right now, if Tesla only delivers 400,000 vehicles, it's going to be a miss. Market's not going to like it. It's going to be bad. Now, a lot of people push back on Troy mainly because of the way Tesla communicated their expectations, mainly Zach, right? Zach Kirkhorn, the way he communicated the expectations for Q4 deliveries. And so if you recall, this is more or less verbatim. Zach said that they will hit 50% in production and they will hit just under 50% in deliveries. So that's when you have to ask yourself, well, what's just under 50%? Is that 45? Is that 47? Is that 40, right? It depends on how you see that. But so with Troy Tesla predicting 400,000, that is well below 50%, right? I think maybe that is 40. Maybe it's 30 something. Anyways, it doesn't matter. The main point I'm trying to make here is that Troy Tesla has recently released his new guidance, and he now predicts 425,000 vehicles for the quarter. This is a big deal. He does note that this is a prediction after Tesla dropped prices in Shanghai, where they got all of that excess demand that came in all of a sudden. Now, here's why I'm getting really excited. Not because of Troy, right? Put Troy to the side. I don't really take stock in anyone's predictions. I take more stock in tangible numbers. And the tangible number we have now is that Giga Texas has announced that they made their 20,000th vehicle in Giga Texas, Giga Austin. And the reason this is so bullish is because now they're at a pretty good clip of a run rate. And they might actually get to 5,000 vehicles per week by the end of the year. Again, this would be very bullish. And so I'm now anticipating that Giga Texas will do about 20,000 vehicles, and that Berlin will do about, that Texas will do about 25,000 vehicles, and that Berlin will do about 30,000 vehicles. And so my calculations kind of come out to, if you take Shanghai, imagine they do 80,000 vehicles per month in the quarter, so 3 times 80, 240. And then you take Fremont, let's say they do 140,000, which that might be a little optimistic. I think that's like near the peak of what they've done before. So, but let's just go with it. 140, Austin 25, Berlin 30. That comes out to 435,000 vehicles. And that's essentially right at what analysts are. So if we are right where analysts are on these predictions, maybe there is a chance that we beat these analysts' expectations. And maybe if we take what Zach was saying, just under 50%, and we really extrapolate that out to being 47, 48%, maybe we have a pretty crazy quarter. Elon did say it would be an epic quarter. So we'll just have to wait and see. But either way, I think things are trending the right way. And now that October's over, we should get some Shanghai numbers and really start to get some data and really start to make sense of what this quarter could look like. So I'm pretty excited, but I'll contain my hope, my optimism until we actually see those numbers come through from Shanghai. All right, Berlin's expanding. That's bullish. I'm very happy about that. You guys know that there's a lot of catalysts coming as far as new factories, but the fact that Berlin is expanding, I'm happy about that because I was worried that with all the bureaucracy, all the red tape, all of the protests, by the handful of people who, in my opinion, have essentially been hired by these other automakers that are based out of Germany. I was really fearful that Berlin would just become a dud. It'd become just the factory that it is, and they would never expand. So I'm very happy to see that they're expanding. Okay, last thing I want to talk about, and then I'll go into the comments and answer any questions you guys might have. I want to talk about catalysts, all right, for 2022, meaning November and December. Now, this is what makes Tesla so rare compared to any other investment out there. I don't think there's any other company out there right now that you can say have catalysts over the next 2 months, other than maybe talking about the Fed potentially pivoting down to 50 basis points. Maybe you talk about their earnings in Q4, but that's really a January effect, not a November, December effect. So what are the catalysts for Tesla? Okay, well, first I have here wide release, FSD beta wide release. So essentially anybody who's purchased FSD beta, they will have it. They will no longer have to go through the safety score. They'll no longer have to wait to be admitted. Everybody who wants it will just be able to get it, which is bullish for two reasons. One, it's bullish because they'll be able to recognize all of the revenue that they have obtained with regards to FSD beta. Two, it's bullish because that shows you the progress of where FSD beta is. And three, to me, wide release is the first step to robo-taxis. So if we get to FSD beta by wide release by the end of this year, as Elon has been talking about nonstop, it just seems like by the end of next year we have robo-taxis, or there'll be an announcement about a robo-taxi. I mean, Elon did say that he wants to have volume production of robo-taxis in 2024. He said that during the Q1 earnings call. And so if you're going to have volume production of robo-taxis by 2024, that means you have to start in 2023, which means there has to be a product announcement, which means it would be in 2023. So I'm very bullish about this. And I think wide release has a way bigger implication than people realize. And on top of that, it would mean you add maybe another 100,000, 200,000 people to the beta. So what does that mean for iterating and making it better? I mean, you just think about it. Data is the name of the game. The more data you have, the better. And Tesla has the fleet. When it comes to AI, neural nets, training them, it's all about how much data we can get so we can train faster and get more exposure, more edge cases. And that's how the vehicle learns. All right, so that's one catalyst. Next catalyst I hear is new factories, right? Or maybe 2 new factories being announced. Elon has said that there will be an announcement by the end of the year regarding a new location for a gigafactory. And so there's a chance they do 2. And the reason I say 2 is because they did Austin and Berlin. And so if they did Austin and Berlin at the same time, that tells me they probably have the manpower to do 2. Even if they don't announce both at the same time, I would be shocked if they don't try to do 2 more or less in tandem the way they did Berlin and Austin. And hopefully they choose places that obviously are strategic and help them with regards to supply chains where they can localize it, but also hopefully they choose locations that kind of work with them better, have less bureaucracy, and are kind of a hedge against potential world conflicts. I think we'll definitely see something out in the Far East. I could definitely see that, maybe Indonesia, maybe India, maybe, I don't know, Thailand, Vietnam, Japan, who knows? I could see there be something there to hedge against Shanghai. And on top of that, I could see something, another factory in the U.S., or maybe not just U.S., maybe North America. The whole Canada thing, hey, I'm rooting for Yashu. I actually think that'd be brilliant. It'd make a lot of sense to open another factory in the States, mainly because of the, the Inflation Reduction Act. whatever it is. It's not really a reduction in inflation, as we can tell. Clearly that didn't work. But anyways, the point is Tesla's going to profit from that way more than anybody else. They'll benefit from it way more than anybody else. So it makes sense to focus on more plants, more factories here in the States or in North America mainly. All right, so that's another one there. What do I have here? Oh, data on deliveries. Yeah, so whatever we find out about Shanghai delivery numbers in the coming days, that could be a catalyst. Imagine, just think about it. I'm estimating about 80,000 vehicles, right? I think 83,000 vehicles a month would be a 1 million vehicle run rate. Imagine if they came out with 90,000. Let's say they did 90,000 vehicles delivered in the month of October. Stock's going to run. The stock will definitely run on that. That's such a bullish number. Nobody's expecting 90,000 vehicles to come from there. So something like that could be big. And it's not just November's number, but then you get December's number. And then you get on January 1st or 2nd, whatever the first day is, you'll get the total deliveries for Tesla. That's another bullish reaction, right? So there's a lot of stuff that could happen there as far as a catalyst. All right, next, what else do I have here? Ramps of Berlin, Austin, right? I think as we see Berlin, Austin ramp up, all right, 20,000 vehicles up to this point, okay, that's, whatever. But if they get to the end of the year and both factories are at 5,000 vehicles per week, for some reason I think that's 60,000. Let's say 52 weeks times 5,000. That's 52 weeks times 5,000. That's 260,000 vehicles per factory. Is that right? Was it 5,000 a week? Is that what they're? Is that what they're aiming for? 5,000 a week. Could you guys help me out with that? Let me see. 5,000. Yeah, that sounds right, doesn't it? 5,000 times 3. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, because 5,000 times 12 would be a quarter, and it'd be 60,000 per quarter. Yeah, so that makes sense. So that's essentially 260,000 vehicles a week. So essentially, if they could get to that by the end of the year, one, they'll be on pace for 2 million, which essentially they'll lock in a production ability of 2 million vehicles, which essentially locks them in for the 50% year over year, right? Wall Street will love that, right? It's because right now it was, a lot of this 50% year over year is based or predicated on Berlin and Austin ramping up. Now, if we go into 2023 without that being a problem, we are already at a run rate of 2 million vehicles a year. And on top of that, throughout the year, Berlin and Austin will continue to ramp. And I'm sure Fremont will get better. I'm sure Shanghai will get better. And who knows what else happens between all that time, right? This could be a real needle mover for the stock. All right. What else do I have here? The Fed slowing down to a 50 basis point. That could move the stock. Twitter overhang lifting. So this has not happened yet, in my opinion. I think there's still a lot of fear, a lot of uncertainty with regards to Elon and Twitter, especially, or just Elon's time taken away from Twitter. And look, I don't think this is a big deal. Elon has this new shiny toy that's broken, and he just wants to fix it so that it can go and do its thing. And that's what he's working on right now, okay? Him, Jason Kalakanakis, however you say his name, David Sachs, like the whole team, they're in this. They're having like a war room session. They're figuring things out. They're coming up, brainstorming, coming up with ideas to make Twitter better. Elon's brought in engineers from Tesla to help sift through all the lines of code within Twitter and to make assessments on the talents and skills and abilities of the people who are working there so you can really see what they're working with. I don't think this is a big deal. I know a lot of people are worried about, this is going to take away from the mission of Tesla and FSD. Look, this is how Tesla works. This is how Musk companies work. They flow. They enjoy the ability to share resources, right? You have SpaceX engineers helping Tesla. You have Tesla helping SpaceX engineers, right? The aluminum, I believe, or the steel that Tesla uses for all of their injection mold, all that, I'm pretty sure all why can't I speak today? The material engineering for that mainly came from SpaceX, right? So this transfer of knowledge is really good for SpaceX, right? I think a lot of their modules that they have, their electronic boards, their circuitry, a lot of that came from Tesla. So all this sharing of information and knowledge and interacting with all these different types of engineers who have different experiences, different backgrounds, that only helps the company. So having a seamless plane between engineers is brilliant. And I think that's all that's happening right now with Twitter. This isn't slowing down anything with FSD beta. We already saw Omar pushed out all of the release notes for FSD beta 10.69.3. So that's obviously on pace. That's still going through. This is going to be a huge architectural change. Read those notes. It's very exciting. But the point is, I don't think this is a big distraction. Yes, Elon's tweeting a lot more. Elon's focused on Twitter. But that just shows you how well run Tesla is. That Elon doesn't have to be focused on that 24/7 maniacally. It also shows you how well the FSD program is going, how kind of on autopilot that's going. On top of that, we just saw Falcon Heavy today, right? And that went up without a hitch, right? I mean, and it was foggy. You could barely see it or anything. By the way, that's my hometown, if you guys were wondering. I grew up in the Space Coast. So, and congratulations to SpaceX for yet another successful launch. But yeah, so lots of catalysts going on here. Do I have anything else here? Oh yeah, two more. So analysts raising price target and predictions, estimates for Q4 earnings. That will be a big one. And then lastly, if Tesla does a buyback before the end of this year. Now, Elon, Zach, they've already talked about doing a buyback, 5 to 10 billion. So that's kind of baked. I also think that's part of why S&P 500 upgraded them to investment grade. So all that we know already, right? It's not like we're speculating, will they do a buyback or not? We know that they have the intentions to do that. The board hasn't approved it yet. They don't need shareholder approvals to do this. But the reason I think this could happen before the new year is because after the new year, there's a tax on any buybacks. I think it's a 1%. So you have to pay 1% fee for however much you do a buyback. And, why would you give the government any money if you don't have to? And I know a lot of people hate on Tesla, hate on Elon. These people who have all this money and or just in general, millionaires and billionaires try to escape taxes and stuff. You tell me one time you did not try to pay as little taxes as you could. We all do that. All right. Why should anything be different just because someone has a different net worth? Right. I mean, this whole pay your fair share. Look, that's such a shallow way of thinking. All right. Pay your fair share. Okay. Well, when was the last time you created a business that hired X amount of people, that provided a living for all these people? When was the last time you did that? Especially, it's always politicians that are saying these things. Meanwhile, my question is to politicians, when have you ever done anything for anyone other than yourself? I mean, you go up there and you sit there and you give these speeches and you make all these promises and you have these debates where you have 30 seconds to get your point across and they get 30 seconds and it's just all sound clips and sound bites and half of it's all lies. And on top of that, somehow you're getting filthy rich while we're all sitting here saying, well, what'd you do? What have you done? So I don't know. Again, this is a critique against all politicians. I'm sure there's some good ones out there, especially some who have benevolent agendas, but you just don't see many of them. And it's sad that that's not the norm. Politics used to be a civic duty, right? It was something that you didn't even get paid for, right? It was something you went because you believed in the country, you believed in what it represented, you believed in the Constitution. And now it's just become this bureaucracy. And yeah, it's just, I don't know. It's it almost makes you lose hope for what it should be. But at the same time, we are still the greatest country in the world, in my opinion. And I would never live anywhere else. All right. Let's see. Nick for president. Sadly, I can't. I was born outside the country, so I cannot be president. I'm Hispanic, if you guys didn't know. Spanish is my first language, but I'll take it, maybe. I have thought about when I was younger, I was like, you know what? It'd be cool to be governor one day, but those days are way behind me, or those thoughts are way behind me. I ended up becoming an engineer and getting technical and thinking that politics was just no good. Anyways, enough of that. I hate talking about all this stuff. Let's see. Let me scroll up. Yes, I wish I didn't even talk about politics. Because then people start talking about it, and it's honestly something I don't want to talk about. All right, let's see. Let's come back up here. Tesla is around 20 different startup companies. Folks, please quit freaking out about Twitter. It's privately held, no impact to other Musk companies. Agreed. Spot on. Jambay, This is beautifully said. Yeah, Tesla is if you think about it, Tesla is the largest aggregate of startups in the world, is really what it is. I mean, if you think about it, you have insurance, you have energy, you have autopilot, you have humanoids, you have the factories themselves, all the software inside where you have they use all of their own built software, right? So like a Salesforce stuff. I mean, they might use Salesforce, but you get my point, right? They have all these different softwares they build internally. I mean, you can go on and on. I mean, I'm sure I'm forgetting things right now, but the point is that Janbei is saying here is Janbei is that there are all these startups within. I mean, I forgot the electric vehicle part of it. Yeah, maybe a robotaxi one day. It goes on and on. So yeah, that's a very good point. Don't freak out about Twitter. Again, that's all noise. It's just more and more noise. It's part of the nature of investing in Tesla, but it's something you get used to after a while. Sadly, you get numb to it and you realize how much BS there is, and then you eventually get rewarded by a run up in the stock, and that's when you're like, you know what, just let Elon be Elon, and we should be good and we'll be rewarded. Fed up with the hikes. I agree. It's like, just get it over with. Like, let's just go. Especially, so they're gonna do 75 tomorrow, and it's like, if you're going to sit there and try to signal to us you have more work to do, just do it. Just do it. Let's get over this, right? Like, I'm tired of you dragging this out, right? It's like death by 1,000 cuts. Just do it and let's get past this. This is why the Fed's kind of a joke in my opinion, because if you knew what you actually had to get to slow everything down, to get to a point where we'd be at neutral and we'd be able to beat inflation, get to that rate. If you know what it is, get to that rate. The truth is they don't know, and they know they don't know. And that's why they try to give us this like death by 1,000 cuts, because they need to see what the economy is doing. The problem is they have the same logic about the reason why they won't do one big rate hike. But at the same time, they understand that everything they're doing takes time. It's a lag in the system, right? It's like when you're driving in the snow and you kind of lose traction and you turn one way and you overcorrect the other way, but the car hasn't had time to really take that turn into account. That's what the Fed's doing right now. So they're just losing control is what it seems like. And so it's on one hand, they sit there and they act like they know what they're doing and they have under control. And then next thing you know, they're losing control, and I don't know. It's just a mess right now. The Fed is too intertwined with the markets right now. I really wish they would just be hands off. Inflation can correct itself, in my opinion. I don't think we are going to get into a Venezuela type situation. At the end of the day, this is kind of all artificial. This is all honestly, it's Fed induced, right? The Fed printed so much money, and now we're dealing with the consequences of it. If they wouldn't have done anything, if we would have just taken the corrections like we're supposed to, right, things would have healed naturally. And at the end of the day, if we would just work on fixing the supply chain, right? Everybody says, oh, well, that takes so much time. But we've had over a year now. We could have been working on that. Instead, we're just working on making people more poor, and we're trying to get people to get laid off and fired. Like that's what they want. Like, don't kid yourself. That's exactly what they want. They want to see unemployment go up. 100%, that's their focus. Watch tomorrow. They won't say those exact words, but listen for it. They're going to talk about we still have a very tight labor market, which means we want to see less job openings. We want to see more layoffs. Just listen for it. It's kind of disgusting, to be honest. Oh, man, what a day. Oh, I do have to go in a little bit here. My wife is flying in from a work trip in North Carolina. I don't know if I can tell you what project she's working on, but she's designing for this really big investment bank. I think that's the extent of what I can say. Let's see. 198.59 was bottom of 52 week. You better be right. Better be right. We're going to hold Brett to this. If not, Brett is going to buy us all a beer. Putting him on the spot there. Let's see. I think the Fed will slow, but will not want to signal this in fears the market is going too green and defeating the purpose. I agree. Yeah, because see, what happens is if if they so I think they'll signal a little bit, right? Like they'll signal, but they'll have strong wording like, we still have a lot of work to do. We're not done with the rate hikes, but we're going to slow down. But Jake's right here, because what happens is if they say anything too dovish, which means bullish, right? If they say anything too bullish, well, then the stock market's going to run. If the stock market runs, then the bond market's going to start to come down, and that's what they don't want, right? They want to keep pressure on business. They want to keep rates high. They want to keep yields high. So agree with you on this one, Jake. Here we go. We got a question here from Master Photon. That's a cool name. Do you think that there is a data set that can be gathered from the human brain from Neuralink Fire, Optimus robot training? Ooh. No, I don't think Neuralink is far enough for something like that. I like the way you're thinking though. That's pretty clever. No, I don't think I think that's a way more complicated problem to solve, to be honest. I don't think Neuralink has quite. I hesitate to say where Neuralink is, because there's gonna be a presentation soon, and I don't want to put foot in mouth. But what you're saying here, I think, is a lot more difficult of a problem to solve, to figure out what our own neurons are saying and how they're firing, how they're talking to different signals of the body to do certain things. I think that's way more difficult than using a computer vision system that's using natural NLP, natural language processing, to decide what they're doing, right? To decide, pick up this canister and water that plant. I think that's much easier, especially with the data engine they've already built and the tools they've already built, right? It just makes more sense. Like the network is good. They don't need to create a new network. They just need to train the network on a different data set with different inputs, right? Like Optimus doesn't have a steering wheel, but it has arms. It has all these different fingers that it has to account for now. So I think we'll see Optimus learn a lot faster than people anticipate, mainly because a lot of the hard work has been done. The architecture exists. It's there. It's just a matter of training it with all this new data that they're going to have to get. And the data is different. Right? Andre talks about it with Lex. Right now, Optimus thinks it's a car, right? It doesn't understand that. It doesn't really understand, like, I have arms, I don't have tires, right? It doesn't understand, like, that it's moving through the world as a humanoid rather than as a robot with wheels. So that's why it needs all this new data, right? And different perception. So I like the way you're thinking, but no, I don't think that's something that could be done right now. But who knows? Maybe during this presentation, they pushed the presentation back for Neuralink. So maybe there's something exciting that we're going to learn there. Let's see. Powell's job will be transitory. If you don't get that joke, that's a good joke. That's all you need to know. That's funny. Is it better to buy before or after the Fed talks? Oof, sounds like you're trading there. All right, so let me not be a hypocrite. I would say none of this financial advice. Say that before I get sued or anything. I think it's better to do nothing. The reason I said I don't want to be a hypocrite is because I did buy a lot of shares last week. But don't do as I do. And don't do as I say. Do as you think. But I think it's best to just sit things out right now. What's the point? What's the point of getting in? Like, okay, say that you got in and the Fed pivots and the stock soars. Okay, what's soaring mean? It goes up $20, $30? In the big scheme of things, if we really think Tesla's going to be the most valuable company in the world, if we really think it's going to hit a $10 trillion market cap plus, what's $20 per share? Like, that's nothing. That's literally, that doesn't even register on the radar. So I think you're better off right now just chilling out, sitting with your cash, and, just waiting to see what happens. And, just be patient right now. And again, I should take that own advice, because I have a huge spending problem when it comes to Tesla. I am like the cheapest person you've ever met. And it's not because I don't have money. It's not because I don't know. It's not for any reason. It's not like I grew up like this. Like I've always been very, very, attached to every dollar I own. But when it comes to investing, I throw it all. It's like I just put everything in my brokerage account. Like I will literally have like months where I put so much money in there and I'm sitting there like, oh, I got to pay the mortgage tomorrow. I better put some back in my checking account. Right? I have a problem when it comes to that. It doesn't mean I'm always buying either. Sometimes I just put the cash in there so that I can, pull the trigger when I want to pull the trigger. But yeah, it's a problem. Let's see. Central Oregon snow today here too. Huh? Okay, cool. Let's see. Silence. What happened? Gridlock? Let's see. Let's see. He now predicts 425,000. Yeah, so that's Troy Tesla. Yep, 425. Oh, yeah, this is a great catalyst too. Pepsi getting the first trucks on December 1st. That's a very good point. I completely forgot about that. Look, see, that's the thing. Tesla has all of these catalysts. They don't stop. It's just like whenever I talk about like the different businesses within Tesla, right? I think I cover them all. And then someone's like, oh, don't forget about this. Don't forget about them. I'm like, oh, God, I keep forgetting about all these things. It's the same with the catalyst. And again, we're talking about between November and December is all these catalysts. Does Apple have that? No. Does Microsoft have that? No. Does Meta have that? No. It's only Tesla. Tesla's the only company. There's no other company. No company's growing as fast. Nobody has as strong of earnings in relation to their sales or revenue, especially no auto company. Nobody has as many catalysts over the next couple months. Like, it's Tesla. It's only Tesla. Like, they have no debt. I mean, like, it just goes on and on. It's, oh my goodness. Like, this is what happens. I come on here, you guys make all these brilliant points, and I sit here and I give my opinions on it. Next thing you know, tomorrow morning, I'm like, yeah, we're buying more, right? That's what happens. That's this flywheel that is probably not the most healthy thing, but hopefully, Nick in 5 years from now is like, good move, man. Good move. All right. But right now, Nick of today is like, oh, you got a problem, man. Anyways, I'm going to stop talking about myself in third person. Let's see. What else we got here? I enjoy Nick's vid all the time. Him and my man Keen. Well, I appreciate it. That's very kind of you. Yeah, in case you guys are wondering, like, I know I haven't put any videos out lately. Mainly because, so I didn't yesterday because yesterday was my birthday. My birthday's on Halloween. And so my best friend and I, we went out for dinner. We went to a steakhouse. Got some steaks. We had some, we just had a good time. Had some cocktails. Had some dessert, creme brulee. Love creme brulee. But yeah, we just had a good time. His birthday is on November 3rd, so it's funny how that works out, right? But yeah, so we just went and we had like a birthday dinner, just the two of us. Since my wife is out of town, she's working. Like I said, in North Carolina, working on that project. But yeah, so yesterday was my birthday, and then over the weekend, we were just trying to knock out projects and get stuff done on Saturday, and then we had like a Halloween movie night with my neighbors next door, and so yeah, so we were just spending some family time and some individual time. So I figured, hey, let's take a break from making videos and enjoy this quality time right now because you're not gonna be here for my birthday, and let's just enjoy it. So hopefully you guys had a good Halloween. I know I did. I'd be curious to see what you guys all dressed up as. Anyways, back on topic here. Let's see. Should at least one new gigafactory be designed to roll out robotaxi since it takes 1 or 2 years to build? So I have this theory that Texas, Berlin, and Shanghai will all build different versions of a robotaxi. And I mean, I guess you could call it the robotaxi platform. So I think my again, not like these are all speculations. Everybody's guessing. But I think that the robotaxi platform will be the same as like the next iteration of the vehicle, right? The next model. I think the cheaper one, the 2-for-1 model, I think that one will be the same platform as the robotaxi. And so I think they're going to tailor that to market. So I could see China having a different version, Europe having a different version, the States having a different version. And I think these are going to be built on the same footprint that we see Berlin, Shanghai, and Austin. So I think they kind of already have all this planned out. And I kind of also think that whenever they announce this next vehicle platform, that it's not going to be something we're going to have to wait a long time to really see it come to fruition. I think Elon and the Tesla team they're kind of tired of being called, oh, you're always late about these things. Oh, you're never on time. Oh, Elon time. I think it gets on Elon's nerves, to be honest. And so I think they're at the point now where like, we won't announce anything until we're ready. And when we're ready, we'll say, yep, it'll be up and running in like 2-3 months. So hopefully that's the case. That would be awesome. But that's my theory. Now, on the other hand, if I'm wrong and you're right and they're going to do designated robotaxi factories, then yeah, they should probably get on that. So great comment there. Let's see. I expect Canada first. Also, it might just make sense to massively expand Texas, Berlin, and Shanghai instead of new locations. They got supply chains and logistics set. Exactly. That's spot on. Like, I should have just read your your note here next, because 100% agree. Could not. Yeah. No argument there. I do have a minor concern that the IRS is going to produce guidelines rules for the IRA bill to determine the qualification incentives. I think Tesla is going to do fine. Not sure about others. Yeah, I know. It seems like they're really milking the time to come up with these qualifications, these guidelines. My big fear is that they say something about like dealerships or something in there to really screw over Tesla. Hopefully that's not the case, but it just kind of feels like that might happen. 5K a week they're aiming for. Okay, cool. I appreciate that. Yeah, so 5K a week, 12 weeks and a quarter. So I keep hitting my mic, sorry. 12 weeks and a quarter, so 60,000 vehicles per week. 60 times 4 is 240. Yeah. Whew. Man, that's almost bad math. 240,000. So just call it 250 a year. So next year, Berlin and Austin could each be contributing 500,000 vehicles, like in aggregate, per year to what they're currently doing now. If they essentially are going to make about 1.4 million vehicles now, that puts them about 1.9. So there's your 50% year over year, ready to go before the year even starts. So let's hope they get to that. Let's see. More factories, please. Yep, I agree with you there. All right, let's see. Anything else? Oh yeah, I forgot about this. This is another catalyst, right? Like, here we go. Yes, Texas is producing 4680 cells. 4680 cells, that's just another catalyst, right? If we see any like new numbers for that, hopefully we start to get more metrics around that. Oh, and I forgot another big incentive, which, all right, granted, I said November, December as far as catalyst, but the IRA, the Inflation Reduction Act. I hate saying that. Like, I feel like I'm lying when I say those words, but that's another big potential catalyst, especially as they release the guidelines. Once the guidelines are released and we can actually start to sift through that and see the implication on Tesla, that could be a big catalyst. All right. SpaceX can help with Gigamoon base. Thunderbirds go. That's funny. Let's see. Still like this one. Nick for president. Thank you, Megan. Harvin said same thing. Yeah. Oh, actually, I don't wish I could. I wouldn't do it. But it's interesting to see when people run for president. I met this guy once at a party. I was living in North Carolina, and I met this guy who was running for not president, but he wanted to be a senator or something. And I remember meeting him. Like, it was eerie. It's like the guy couldn't just have a normal conversation. It's like he was politicking the whole time. He's like, "Hey, it's a pleasure to meet you. Oh, yeah, I really believe in what," and it's just like it just came off really fake. So I don't know. Hopefully that's not the way all politicians are, but it left me with a bad taste. Let's see. Here's your beers now. No, because this means that you're wrong. I will not accept these. I want you to be right. I will not accept those beers. Let's see. 50,000 Tesla semis by 2024. Yep, this is what Elon essentially said during the earnings call. It'll be interesting to see how many they deliver to Pepsi. That will definitely give us a good insight into everything. Okay, let me see. Lots of comments to keep up with. Megan, who's your best friend? I'm not going to answer that because you'll yell at me later. Okay. Nick, what is your year-end prediction for the stock? It's funny. I was just talking to my friend about this last night during dinner. He's also a really big Tesla investor. I'm still in. You guys are gonna think I'm crazy. I'm still sticking with a $400 price target. I know it's probably not gonna happen, but that was my prediction. I guess like 6 months ago. So I'm just kind of sticking with it. I don't think it's completely unrealistic. I mean, we went from 300 to 200 in a matter of like a week and a half. So if we get some good news, if, you just don't know what it's going to be, right? You don't know what's going to be the thing that all of a sudden be like, okay, yeah, Tesla's undervalued. We need to get into Tesla. Like you never know. And it could be tomorrow. It could be something the Fed says tomorrow. You just never know. But because it's all guessing and we don't actually know anything, I'm just going to stick with the 400. It makes no sense to change it. It just is what it is. So it's not something, I'm not investing based off of what the year-end price target will be. I understand that's probably not what you're asking about, but these are just my guesses here. Let's see. Elon was just in Mexico. Yeah, that was interesting, right? A lot of speculation about what that was about, whether it's supply chains. It could be a gigafactory in Mexico, which would actually make a lot of sense. Well, almost a lot of sense, right? Like being the fact that there's a factory in Texas and California, it kind of doesn't make sense, but cost of labor, it would make a lot of sense. Tesla mining and refining, yes, it's definitely something to keep an eye on. Something else for sure. It would be one good-looking president family, though. Thanks, Megan. You're really on board with this president thing here. I would prefer an announcement of breaking ground on a refinery or mining factory instead of an assembly factory. I prefer both, Joe. We can have both. We can have it all, man. I promise you, you can have it all. That's what we should get, is all of it. Year-end stock price will be 46.8. Ooh, I like that. All right, maybe I will change my number to that. Elon and others did say Tesla is not battery constrained. Is that still true? Yes, I think they're not battery constrained for 2022. I think Elon has also said that in 2023, if they don't have 4680 ramping, that's when they will be battery constrained. But it sounds like 4680 has hit a new evolution and they've leveled up on it. And it seems like that's going a lot better than what we think. So bullish on that. We could have a bull run at the end of the year. Absolutely. We absolutely could. Like, especially with window dressing, lots of things could happen at the end of the year. Don't underestimate it. Don't underestimate tomorrow. All right, tomorrow could be actually something that really moves the needle. All right, let's see. Last one. The macro market is the biggest interference on Tesla's price now. Wow, we'll definitely leave it on that. Sandy's spot on. Spot on. Tesla's great as a company. Their metrics are great. They have no debt. They're making more money than ever. Their factories are all running. FSD Beta is about to go wide release. 4680 is doing great. Semis are about to deliver. Cybertruck's going to happen next year. I mean, like, Tesla insurance is expanding. Tesla has no real issues right now. Tesla is like, it's weird. Like, you want to say like firing all cylinders, but obviously they don't have cylinders. And I want to say like Tesla's in excess excitation if we're talking about motors, right? But I don't think a lot of people understand that. But the point is, like, Tesla is as efficient as they've ever been at the moment. And the crazy thing is Elon still thinks they can be more efficient. So Sandy's spot on here. Once the macro starts to see some change or some positive signs, this is when things will recover. All right, listen, everybody. I have to head out. I have to go to the airport. I have a wife to pick up, and I need some food in my belly. But look, I appreciate everybody signing on. I appreciate everybody staying on. I appreciate all the comments. It's been a lot of fun. Look, I'll probably hop on tomorrow in the evening. I'll probably make a video to recap what happened with the Fed and my thoughts on it. And keep in mind, tomorrow is going to be a weird day. Odds are Fed comes out, 2 p.m., they make their announcement, stock market's going to tank. Jerome Powell comes out, he starts talking, stock market recovers, and then we'll see what happens from there. It's gonna be a roller coaster tomorrow. And all the way up until 2 p.m., you'll probably see the market just kind of sit sideways. Maybe it'll go up a little bit, maybe it'll be down a little bit, but really 2 p.m. is when you'll start to see all kinds of swings. Don't worry about it. we're long-term investors. At least I hope you are. That's the impetus of this channel. And yeah, we'll get through all this, right? Eventually this all ends, and eventually on the other side of all this is a bull market. And that's what we need to look out for. All right. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this, if you found some value in it, and if you want to do me a favor, hit the like button. There's no subscribe button right here, but hit it. And I'll catch you guys later. Thanks for watching. Cheers.